This video is on lesson 4.5 in our math book. It's called Real World Problems Multiplying with Mixed Numbers. Please follow along on page 189 in your textbook. You should have your book open and following along with me. We're going to do the first problem there on that page in the blue Learn box. It says there are 40 guests at a party. Each guest eats 2 3/4 mini pizzas. How many mini pizzas do the guests eat altogether? So I have 40 guests and each one eats 2 3/4 of a mini pizzas. My operation here is multiplication because for each guest this is how much they eat. My question is asking how many did the guests eat altogether? How many pizzas did the guests eat in total? First step is to always take your mixed number, convert it to an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 is 11. Our new improper fraction is 11 over 4. Remember, from the denominator to the whole number, you multiply. From there, you add. So, 4 times 2 gave us 8, plus 3 gave us 11. Our new improper fraction is 11 over 4. Remember, we're multiplying by 40. Now our new equation is 40 times 11 over 4. 40 is a whole number. You need to make it a fraction. Any whole number, you divide it by 1, you'll end up with a fraction, and it will still be equal to that whole number. 40 over 1 is still 40. Anything divided by 1 is that same number. Now my equation is 40 times 11 and 1 times 4. You can go ahead and do 40 times 11, and you can do 1 times 4, or you could see if you have common factors between any numerators and denominators you have going on here. I can see that I have a really nice relationship going on here between 40 and 4. I can divide 40 by 4 and I can divide 4 by 4. They have a common factor. So that will make things easier for me. If I go ahead and write my new fractions in this way, 40 divided by 4 over 1 times 11 over 4 divided by 4 will give me my new fraction once again. 40 divided by 4 is 10 over 1 times 11 over 1. Literally now all I'm doing is multiplying 10 and 11. My final answer will be 110. My guests ate 110 mini pizzas. Or we could have gone through our multiplication as usual and done 40 times 11. We would get 440. And 4 times 1, we would have gotten 4. 440 divided by 1, we would have gotten 110. Same answer in 2 different methods. Now before moving on, please pause this video and go ahead and do guided learning number 1 on page 189. If you do not have your book with you for whatever reason, guided learning problem number 1 on page 189 says, Ken uses 2 1/4 feet of tape to wrap a package. How many feet of tape does he use to wrap 20 of these packages? So every package needs this much tape, 2 1/4 roll. 2 1/4 feet of the tape. How many feet of the tape does he need to wrap 20 of these packages? Your equation is 2 1/4 times 20. Please go ahead and do this on a piece of paper or in your notebook. Remember, your answer needs to be in the unit of feet. We're going to look at problems that ask us to find the answer in a decimal form. Remember, we did this in chapter 3. You can do your multiplication as usual with your whole numbers and mixed numbers or fractions, but it says in the end to express your answer as a decimal. So for example, if we have a problem like on page 190, it says Justina has 5 ribbons. Each ribbon is 2 1/4 feet long. What is the total length of the ribbons? Express your answer as a decimal. You can't ignore that part. If your answer is not in the form that the question asks you to put it in, your answer is not complete. So, she has 2 1/4 feet long of ribbon, and she has 5 of those ribbons. So our equation here is 2 1/4 times 5. First step, still, to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, over 4 times 5. Whole numbers become a numerator with 1 as a denominator if you want to multiply them with fractions. 5 is the same as 5 over 1. 9 times 5 over 4 times 1 will give you 45 over 45 over 4. Now you go ahead and do your long division and you find out what your mixed number should be. Let's see what our mixed number should be here. we have a quotient of 11, a remainder of 1, and our denominator always stays the same, always stays 4. So our quotient here is 11, which is our whole number and our mixed number. Numerator is the remainder, which is 1, and our denominator always stays the same, 4. We started off with 45 over 4. We have to end with 4 as our denominator in our mixed number. The mixed number we have is 11 and 1/4. This is how many feet long her total length of the ribbon is. But remember, our question asks us to express our answer as a decimal. How do I make 11 1/4 as a decimal? You might remember in past chapter, chapter 3, we would have a fraction. We would have to make our denominator out of 100 so that we could easily get the decimal. How do I go from 4 to 100? How can I make my denominator of 4 turn into a denominator of 100 in my new fraction? I would have to multiply by 25. 25 times 4, does that give me 100? Yes. If I multiply my denominator by 25, I have to do the same to my numerator. 1 times 25 gives me 25. Now, my new fraction that I can easily express as a decimal is 25 over 100. Let's rewrite it down here. 25 over 100. We know it's equivalent to 1/4. But how do I get a decimal out of this? Remember, when we have a number divided by 100, we can easily get the decimal. Remember, there's always an invisible decimal point after every whole number. It goes after the end of the number. We don't always see it. We don't write it everywhere. We don't write 4 point, 3 point, 2 point every time we want to write 3, 4, and 2. But it's always there. It's the invisible decimal point is always there. It's just invisible. Now, when we divide a number by 100, we move our decimal point over 2 places. Why? Because 100 has 2 zeros. So we would move our decimal point from 25 to the left 2 spots to correspond with the 2 zeros that are in the number 100. And my decimal now, I know it should be 0.25. Now remember, this is not my answer. Why? Because 0.25 is not how many feet of ribbon she has. Remember, our whole number in our original mixed number is 11, right up here. Let me highlight it. Do not forget about that. You cannot give me 0.25 as your final answer. Your final answer should be 11.25. Is this equivalent to 11 and a quarter, or 11 and 1/4, or 11 and 25 over 100? Absolutely. The answer in decimal form is 11.25. Now please go ahead and do guided learning number 2 on page 190. If you do not have your book, the problem says, Andrew's rectangular garden has a length of 12 3/4 yards and a width of 7 yards. Find the area of Andrew's garden. Remember, the area of a rectangle is length times width. This is our formula. It gave us the length, which was 12 3/4, and it gave us the width, which is 7 yards. So we're working with 12 3/4 times yards times 7 yards. Find the area of the garden. Express your answer as a decimal. Do not forget, your answer needs to be as a decimal. So please go ahead and do this on a piece of paper or your notebook and have the answer ready. Alright, now we're on page 191. Follow along with me in the blue Learn box. It says solve 2-step problems involving multiplication with mixed numbers. The problem says Miss Gupta buys 4 packages of chicken. Each package weighs 2 3/5 pounds. The price of the chicken is $2 per pound. The question says, how much does she pay for all 4 packages of chicken? So once again, I have 4 packages of chicken. Each one weighs 2 3/5 pounds. That means my equation here is 4 times 3 over 5. If this is how much each package weighs, and I have 4 of them, this is what I'm multiplying. Convert your mixed number to an improper fraction. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13 over 5, times 4. Multiplying by a whole number of 4 is the same as multiplying by 4 over 1. Do your multiplication. If I do my multiplication, I will get 52 over 5. Let's do our long division so we can find what our mixed number should be. I'm going to put 10 up here. 5 goes into 50 10 times, with a remainder of 2. My mixed number is 10, 2 over 5. This is how many pounds of chicken she has total. My question, though, is asking, how much does she pay for the 4 packages of chicken if each package costs $2 per pound? Once again, we have 4 packages. Each one costs we have 10 and 2/5 pounds. This is what we have. And each pound costs $2. We have to multiply 10 and 2/5 by $2 to see how much she spends on all the chicken. If I go ahead and multiply 10 and 2/5 by 2, I need to convert my 10 and 2/5 again to an improper fraction, so we kind of have to work backwards. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 2 gives me 52 over 5 times 2 over 1. I would get 104 over 5. Then I have to do that division. 104 divided by 5. 5 goes into 10 twice. I'm going to have to put a 0 up here because I have to drop the 4, and 4 is less than 5, so I can't do that division. My mixed number is 24 over 5, but that's not a complete answer. I can't say she spent $20 and 4/5. That doesn't make sense. This is why we should know how to convert mixed numbers to decimals and how to give our numbers as decimals. When you give your answer in terms of money, in terms of dollars and cents, you need to be able to know how many cents. So your 24/5 needs to be converted to a decimal in order for you to know how many cents out of that dollar did she pay for the chicken. I know I have 20 whole dollars, but what's 4/5 of a dollar? 4/5, your fraction. Try to make your denominator either 10 or 100. Here it's easy to make our denominator 10. All we have to do is multiply our fraction by 2. You multiply your denominator by 2, you're going to have to do the same to the numerator. If I do 5 times 2, I'll get 10 as my denominator. And then I'll have to do the same to my numerator. 4 times 2, I'll get 8. Once again, let's write it down here so it could be more clear. I have an invisible decimal point after every whole number, if you remember. We're moving it over to the left 1 spot because we're dividing by 10, and 10 only has 1 0. My decimal here is 0.8. My final answer should be $20.8, which means $20.80 is how much she spends on the chicken. Please go ahead and do guided learning number 3 on page 191. If you don't have your book, it says a chef uses 3 bottles of olive oil to make a salad dressing. Each bottle contains 1.5 quarts of oil, and the cost of 1 quart is $5. Find the total cost of the oil she uses. Remember, this is a 2-step problem. Your answer needs to be in dollars, and it needs to be in decimal form because you can't give a fraction of a dollar. You have to give a decimal to know how many cents you're talking about. This is the problem. 3 bottles of olive oil. Each one has 1.5 quarts. Each quart costs $5. And what's the total cost of the oil she uses? Please do guided learning number 3 on page 191 in your notebook or piece of paper.